This is something I realize every time I go on holiday. I'm in this little bubble of the bodybuilding space, the fitness space, and then you meet general population in the gym. Man, people really don't know how to train, and they really don't know how to keep themselves in shape. Vigorous Steve here, back for my trip to Bali, which I really, really, really needed, guys. Some of you guys might remember from the last Vigorous Q&A that I was getting a little bit agitated with some of the questions, so I really need to de-stress and come to my senses, so to say. So I went to Bali for a full 5 days to kind of decompress, deload, and get away from the office chair because I've been stuck right here for the last 5 months after the last holiday, which was what? 5 months ago. The last time I went on holiday was the United States, and that was already 5 months ago. You know, when you work for yourself, you're self-employed, you manage your own business, time flies like that, and before you know it, you're due for another quick and short run abroad. So I decided to go to Bali. It was very, very nice, guys. I can highly recommend Bali. You know, the traffic is horrible, but everything else in Bali, the beaches, the beach clubs, the nightlife, the bars, the restaurants, man, even the gyms, phenomenal. So I documented most of my trip on my trusted iPhone. I had a DJI gimbal with me, but he kind of failed somewhere halfway along the way. So some of the footage is a little bit emotional, a little bit shaky. I still did my best, even while slightly intoxicated with alcohol, to keep my iPhone as steady as possible. But if you see a little bit of shakiness here and there, my sincere apologies, my DJI gimbal failed me. So hopefully I can get that back up and running for my next holiday. Hopefully you guys like this video vlog. I'll overlay the relevant footage while I kind of document and describe what I did on holiday. But before we do, please like the video, leave a comment for the algorithm, and consider subscribing if you haven't already. Feel free to join the Vigorous Patreon memberships or the Vigorous YouTube memberships. If you want to ask me questions on the Vigorous Q&A, which is always on Saturday. I didn't miss a Vigorous Q&A for the entire time that these Patreon or YouTube memberships have been live, and I don't plan to miss any future Vigorous Q&As going forward. And otherwise, you can simply support the channel, again, if you want, with some of the other membership options. Let's get started with the trip. You know, my original idea was just to rent a motorcycle and drive all over the island and see the sights on my own pace and my own leisure, but after I saw the traffic and realizing that you might save, 5 to 10 minutes on a 1 hour journey, I decided to rent a taxi instead and let us drive around for almost a steal amount of $55. And again, it was so cheap, that's such a low price point, especially considering that you're going up and down mountains. And I know that gas isn't cheap in Asia. So I literally had to stuff money down the guy's pocket just to show my appreciation because, $55 doesn't really cover it. I'll say that honestly. So that was just the first day. I ended up meeting a good friend of mine, Max, who used to stay in Thailand for 6 to 8 years. I know the guy as long as I know my wife. Basically, he moved to Bali a couple years ago. We had a nice dinner at one of the steak restaurants around the corner for Le Meridian. I'll overlay a couple pictures here and there. And I would love to show you guys the hotel room at the Meridian, which was approximately $200 for 120 square meter or 1,300 feet room. Very nice room, albeit that Le Meridian is a little bit on the older side. That being said, it's still a nice resort to stay in. It's close to the airport, and if you want to see any of the sites in the south of Bali, below the airport, then it's a reasonably good place to stay. It's got a rooftop bar, even though you can't smoke cigars there. You still got nice views of the beach area. It's got a nice restaurant with nice healthy food. It's got a pool bar, a giant pool as well, so you can do laps in between drinks if you do so desire. And it's got a spa and a decently sized hotel gym. So Le Meridian was my first choice, even though the next time I go to Bali, I'll probably stay at the Kempinski, which I will tell my reasons a little bit later in this video, or stay at Seminyak or somewhere at Ubud, which is towards the north of the island, which is certainly a lot more time efficient if you want to see the sights in the north of Bali, because again, traffic is horrendous and traveling from the south to the north might take 2.5 hours. So don't make that mistake. Don't do what I did. Stay in the south and then go to the north. Stay in the north if you want to see the north, and stay in the south if you want to see the south, and only do that trip one time to change hotels. So that was pretty much day one. We didn't really get anything done besides a romantic walk on the beach In the barbecue smoke. Yes, there are a lot of seafood restaurants in that area of the beach right next to Le Meridian. So if you like seafood and having a romantic dinner on the beach, this is the place to stay at because you can simply walk there and then walk back when as little as in, well, let's say 3 to 5 minutes. That was pretty much our first day. Let's move over to the second day. We had a good night's sleep, obviously. And then we decided to go to the gym because, well, after a day flying, you always hold a little bit of water. And it's good to explore new gyms in a new country and see what the atmosphere is like. We went to Fitness Plus Gym, which is a little bit south. Took about 20 minutes to get there. I think a day pass was about 100 to 150,000 rupiah, or about $7 to $11. The gym was decently equipped. I didn't really film anything there. I just did supersets of all of the equipment that they had there. Took a couple posing pics. I was already fully sauced at the time. Of course, not from steroids, but from all of the complementary sodium in the Indonesian foods. Yes, I did start eating a little bit of Indonesian food here and there. So I got a nice super pump, took my pictures, I'll display them on the screen. I would say that the atmosphere of this gym was non-existent. Maybe that's because there were mostly tourists. I believe that Fitness Plus Gym, Jimbaran, is owned by one of the bigger bodybuilders in Indonesia. But I didn't see him around, and I didn't really see any of the other bodybuilders. Mostly Gen Pop, people who are moderately into fitness. This is something I realize every time I go on holiday. I'm in this little bubble of the bodybuilding space, the fitness space, and then you meet general population in the gym. Man, people really don't know how to train, and they really don't know how to keep themselves in shape. It's a little bit painful. Anyway, so I had a decent workout, got a good pump, got some good pictures in, and then after that, we went straight to a Temptation Beach Club, which is all the way to the south, which I found by simply, consulting with Google Maps. This is a great way to figure out where you want to go. If you zoom in deep enough, you can find some very cool and exciting locations with Google Maps using the satellite imagery. So this is how I found Tropical Temptation Beach Club. So I looked a little bit in the area, saw some pictures of the area and decided, this is the place, this is the beach club I want to go. A very nice, fat, thick infinity pool right on the beach, with hammocks and all kinds of different places where you can sit and chill and have food and drinks. The reviews were very, very high. Again, all of the details are down below in the YouTube description section if you want to visit it for yourself. I can highly recommend it. And I'm going to be honest, I really like the spending setup, because what you see sometimes here in Thailand at the beach clubs is that it gets overrun with backpackers who don't spend any money. They come in early, they get the prime real estate right on the beach, all the nice locations, and then they stay there all day, maybe buying a couple Coke Zeros here and there, just when the waitress kind of forces them to. So here in these beach clubs in Bali, if you want prime real estate, you're going to have to spend at least $50, $100, $200, right? Depending on how prestigious this specific location within the beach club actually is. So we decided on the hammock, which kind of overlooks the beach and the infinity pool from the second floor. Very nice to lay in, but probably not so good to eat food in. We didn't really have much food by the time we arrived. So, of course, we had to get our nice lunch in, but sitting in, a weird position, kind of off to the side, trying to eat food, which we were very hungry. So we ordered like 5 dishes to get our minimum spend in of $150 just to be allowed in this hammock area. We ate a lot of food, and then we finished that off with 2 sangrias each. So yeah, I started drinking reasonably early in the day. Shame on me, it's my freaking holiday after all. So it's very nice to lay there and kind of chill there and take the footage and the Instagram pictures, which of course we took plenty. Again, the Temptation Beach Club is very Instagram friendly, as many of you guys have seen on my Instagram page. I'll overlay all of that footage and the pictures as we're talking about it. And if I remember correctly, the minimum spent just to chill out in the hammock was 2.5 million rupiah, which is about $170. The bill ended up being 2.7 million rupiah, or $185, which, now looking back at it, staying there for most of the day, almost 5 hours, watching the sun go down, getting a nice view and having a phenomenal time, having great foods, couple drinks, some water to stay hydrated. $185 is a steal, right? It's almost theft. So I tipped royally because, again, the service at this place, absolutely stellar. And after that, we quickly went back to the hotel because I had to take a nap after clearing those 2 sangrias, which were pretty strong, I would say. So again, that tip was well deserved for the Tropical Temptation Beach Club staff. I was pretty tipsy, had to take a quick nap and change clothes, of course, take a shower, right? Prepare for the Kempinski Coral restaurant, which you guys actually funded. This was very expensive, but well worth it, right? This is definitely on the bucket list, which I can now cross off. This is a restaurant underneath an aquarium. There's not many of these in the world. And if you go anywhere else, you would probably pay double, triple, or quadruple the price. We ended up spending $510 on the Coral restaurant, 7 courses for $2.5 million each. But this includes the wine pairing with every course. So besides the 2 glasses of sangria, which were pretty strong that I had in the afternoon, another 6 to 7, I can't even remember, dude. Let's say 7 glasses of wine with this course menu. Yeah, so by the end of the day, I was pretty freaking hammered. So thank God we had a driver because it was impossible to drive. I can't remember for the life of me what the appetizer actually contained, but it's on the screen right here. We got a little bit of a dry ice and a fountain out of it. So I hope you enjoy the scenery. The first course was carpaccio. Very, very nice. Tasted absolutely great. It was barramundi carpaccio, so that is raw fish. For the guys that are familiar with sushi, that's nothing new. And otherwise, it tasted great. So take my word for it. This carpaccio is stellar. Again, paired with wine. Look at the course menu, which I'll display on the screen. And otherwise, go to the Kempinski Coral restaurant to have a look at the course menus so you know what you can get. The second course was fish rice, coconut rice stuffed with minced fish. Very, very tasty. Again, the portions are a little bit small, but hey, you go there for the taste and not to get your stomach full with food. For that, you would need to go to an actual buffet, which apparently Bali has aplenty, but we simply didn't go to those places. And then the third course, which was the add-on order, which we mixed in ourselves before the lobster came. This was the chicken ravioli with actual real truffle sliced right freshly before your eyes. So this is none of the truffle oil you would get with some of the Italian restaurants. Actual real truffle, which tasted phenomenal. I mean, what more do you want? Well, to be honest, I wished the portion was a little bit bigger than just 3 servings of a mouthful. I could have done with 10 servings of a mouthful. So after 3 spoons, my portion was gone. But every spoon tasted amazing. After that, the lobster came, which took a little bit longer to eat because it was a decently sized lobster. Tasted very, very nice as well. All of these came paired with white wine. So after that, I was ready to have some red wine, which luckily came with the beef rosini, which was Wagyu tenderloin with a marbling rating of 9+. Came with red wine. I was very, very pleased with this serving. It was very, very tasty, guys. Of course, the view throughout all of this was amazing. You have the aquarium on the right or left side, depending on where you sit. And, the entire rest of the restaurant is very, very nice as well. Great setting, great atmosphere, great ambience, great service. I can highly recommend it, guys. And we finished off this course set with a chocolate parfait, which looked very, very nice, very, very tasty, very intense flavors, albeit that it was very, very small. So all you bodybuilders out there, just get ready. You might still be hungry after doing a set course like this, albeit that you feel highly, highly drunk and intoxicated after having wine with each of these course meal, as I was. So luckily, again, I had a driver to take me home, which I probably slept and snored and drooled a little bit on the way back. So this Kempinski Hotel was very, very nice. I would probably stay there the next time I go there because the Kempinski Hotel is so big. It's probably one of the biggest hotels, resorts I've ever seen in my life. And yes, I've been to Las Vegas. This Kempinski Hotel is something else. It took us 30 minutes to get from the lobby to the Coral restaurant. And that's with having a little bit of a shuttle bus service or a shuttle cart, golf cart, to take you there, right? Again, it's a very big resort. Apparently, the rooms are very, very nice, especially the higher end rooms. Of course, you'll end up spending for that. If you go to the resort to just have a look, right, while visiting the Coral restaurant, it's almost imposing to the same sense that some of the communist buildings in Beijing or Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia, or Russia are imposing, and you feel like an ant while walking around. That's how big it is. And again, I've been to some very big sites all over the world, including Tiananmen Square in Beijing and the square in Ulaanbaatar. You walk around there and you literally feel like an ant. And that's how I felt walking around the Kempinski Hotel. So probably the next time I go to Bali, I might stay there for 1 or 2 days to kind of inspect that area and see what other nice venues and restaurants there are in that surrounding area of the Kempinski Hotel. And maybe even go back to the Koral restaurant because, again, the service was great and the food tasted phenomenal. All funded by the Vigorous crew in the form of super chats, which you guys gladly donated by me answering the questions during the Vigorous Q&A. So thank you guys so much. It was a great experience. After that, on day number 3, I woke up shredded. Now, obviously, because I had a lot to drink the day before, I ended up looking pretty good. So I did what every self-respecting Instagram model does in a situation like this. I went on the balcony in my underwear and I took as many pictures as I could, to the dismay or enjoyment of all the Chinese tourists which were at Le Meridian. They were shouting something, which I'm not entirely sure what that is in Chinese, but I did think that the grannies were enjoying it because they were throwing up front double biceps as I was taking pictures. So those pictures are overlaid on the screen. So that was a good moment to start the day with. After that, we went to Bull Gym. I had a great workout there, albeit that it's very, very hot in there. But again, training in the middle of the day, after waking up with a slight hangover, being intoxicated the day before, probably not a good idea. Still had a great pump, as you can see from these pictures. I think Bull Gym was about 150 to 200,000 rupiah, or what was it, $12 to $15, give or take. I can't really remember. After that, we took a shower. We went to the Sangeh monkey forest, which was very, very cheap. Only 20,000 rupiah, or $1.50 to enter. And then you give tips to the guides who kind of protect you from the monkeys because they can get a little bit aggressive. So as you enter there, of course, when you come in with a driver, you pay for the entry fee. And then you kind of walk through the forest, which looks very, very nice. They kind of set it up like Angkor Wat in Cambodia. So, of course, it's all artificial. They probably got the monkeys there simply by offering them food and luring them into the forest that they have. It's completely closed off, so the monkeys don't leave. And of course, the monkeys are well taken care of because all of the tourists can feed them with peanuts and bananas and whatever else. So we kind of walked around there. You had this guide to kind of keep the monkeys at bay if they get a little bit too aggressive, a little bit too hungry. So you tip the guy on the end. I can't really remember what I tipped. I think it was 100,000, $7, give or take. The guy seemed happy. So everybody wins. Right, it was a fun activity to do. We didn't really stay much time there because it was just a loop. So I did that loop twice. And then we saw all of the monkeys and all of that, sites that the forest had to offer. I believe that there's another monkey forest not too far from the Sangeh monkey forest that we went to, but I went with this one because I have this overgrown temple set up, which I really enjoyed. So it's a good walk there, reasonably inexpensive. Just be ready. Those monkeys are ferocious. After that, we wanted to go to the Ulun Danu Bratan temple and visit the botanical garden, which is about 5 to 10 minutes away from the temple. But unfortunately, by the time we got there, the botanical garden was close to closing because it was already 4 o'clock. I mean, you really underestimate the traffic in Bali. It took us 1.5 hours to get to the gym. Of course, you have your gym session. Then you want to shower afterwards. Then it's an hour and a half to the Monkey Forest Temple. Then another hour and a half to the Ulun Danu Bratan Temple. So by the time we got there, it was raining, which is very common at the middle end of the day. And the botanical garden was already closed. So, in Asia, it doesn't really rain that long. So we kind of estimated, okay, it's going to take 30 minutes to an hour for this heavy rain to go away. And then you have some after rain, which is kind of easy to walk through. Usually the same rain you would have in the UK or Holland. Annoying, but not crippling. So we went to the Handara Golf and Resort, which is where we had lunch. Now, there's no entry fee for that. If you want, they have a very nice big gate at the start of the Handara Golf Resort where you can take some pictures, but it was still raining heavily. There were a lot of tourists there, so we kind of passed through to have lunch at this Handara Golf Course, which is not that great. The views are stellar, absolutely beautiful, as you can see from the overlays, but the food there was kind of on par with an Irish pub, fish and chips quality. I would say. So don't go there to eat. If you want to walk around the golf course and have a look at the sites, it's very well maintained. The site is actually beautiful, but don't go there to eat, I would say. So we stayed there for about, well, let's say an hour. It was nice that it was actually kind of cold. So, for the guys that live in the Western world, you guys are used to cold. But when you live in Asia for such a long time, whether you live in Thailand or Bali, cold is a luxury. So, thank God it didn't rain today, no? Okay. This is supposed to be a temple with the view. Now, let me show to you. And these are the complimentary rain clouds that we get today. So I lost all my fluid. See, it's nothing left, nothing in the face left, nothing in the arms. It's shredded for no reason because we're freezing. Yeah, that's ice cream right there. Max, what about you? When did you get lean?
Perfect. I just don't feel freezing.
You don't feel, yeah, you have a jacket. Max didn't tell us it was going to be cold. So we are freezing. And, but it's a nice view. Yeah, but look, surprise bicep, shredded. I need to eat. The Ulun Danu Bratan temple is very, very nice, even though it's pretty cloudy, I would say. It's still a nice walk to walk around, but I would say that day 3, going to the monkey forest and the temples was a little bit of a waste because so much travel time involved. And, the sites that we visited were a little bit lackluster. Now, this is coming from a guy who's traveled all over the world. Right? I've been to the Great Wall of China. I've been to Angkor Wat. I've seen the biggest and baddest temples here in Thailand, as well as in Laos, right? I've been to a lot of places in my life. So if you haven't been that well traveled, of course, the Monkey Forest and the Ulun Danu Bratan Temple might be interesting to you. But to me, it was mostly fun just to spend time with my buddy Max, who I didn't see for such a long time. The Monkey King is going Super Saiyan 3. Look at that hair. The biggest monkey? Right there. Maximilian. So that day was fun. Again, I had to stuff some money down the driver's pocket to pay for all of the expenses because we spent so much time driving around. And then on day 4, we went to Harum Bali, which is basically like a beach club, but it's in the mountains. And it's very Instagram friendly because they got these rice terraces. They got a terraced pool with 3 levels. Then they got a whole walking area similar to a botanical garden. They got these swings, which is very, very common and popular in Bali. You got the Bali swing, which is the original place where you kind of hang off a swing and then the palm trees will kind of push you back and forth. Looks a little bit risky and dangerous, so I didn't do it, even though apparently it's very, very safe. Never has been an accident on any of these Bali swing places. Still, a heavy bodybuilder like myself with, thinking about kids and settling down and all that stuff, I didn't want to take the risk. Still a very popular place. The entry fee was, 50,000 rupiah, so that's about $3.50. And then again, depending on where you sit, you have a minimum spending budget of, let's say, $50 upwards of $250. So first we had lunch because this is the first place of the day that we ended up breaking our fast. Again, you guys are familiar with my practices. I do intermittent fasting, and then I have a light lunch and a heavy as dinner. So we had a light lunch there. I ended up spending 700,000 rupiah, which is about $50 on food with a nice place where you overlook the entire area. So that's basically a balcony seating area for your lunch. Then we walked around, took some pictures. It was getting hotter and hotter and hotter and more humid and more humid and more humid. So after that, walking around sightseeing tour of the Harum Bali and taking copious amounts of pictures, which I did share on Instagram already, we decided to hang out in the pool area. There, the minimum spend of the hammock was 1.5 million rupiah, or approximately $100. And that was a little bit more difficult to get to because we already spent $50 on food, right? So we couldn't add more food, was because I felt pretty full at that time. So yeah, another day of heavy drinking. Still was a lot of fun. So I think I ended up spending, 1.7.5 million rupiah on drinks and tips. I got pretty hammered again. Shame on me, but man, it's holiday, dude. And sometimes you just got to enjoy yourself and drink a little bit more than is recommended for bodybuilders because, again, alcohol is so highly catabolic. But literally, when you drink once every 3 months, guys, give me a break, please. So I ended up spending what, 2.3, 2.5 million at this place, including tips. So that's about 150, $185 again. We ended up spending, I think, most of the day there, 6 hours in total, having lunch, walking around, taking pictures, enjoying our time in the pool. And even though it was raining at the time, again, usually in Bali and the mountainous areas, it starts to rain towards the end of the day. But this is the way to get into the pool without sharing the pool, because apparently tourists are allergic to rain, even though they're in the pool. And the pool is wet and the rain is wet. But still, people like to go inside because, oh, it's raining and now we can't get good pictures. So me and my wife were in the pool solo. And luckily, these iPhones are waterproof, right? Nobody realizes that these are waterproof, but they're actually waterproof. So we're just walking around the pool, taking pictures and having a good time and acting as sober as we could, even though we were kind of drunk. Hopefully it doesn't come across in the video footage, but if it is, now you know why we were a little bit more outgoing than usual. A great place, put it on your bucket list, right? Bucket list material of this trip, I would say, is the Tropical Temptation Beach Club, the Koral restaurant of the Kempinski Hotel, and the Harum Bali, this beach club, which is in the mountains, right? Very nice vibe, very good setup. We ended up talking with a lot of foreigners, a lot of people that are having a blast on holiday, just like we did in Bali. I can highly recommend this place. Please, if you go to Bali, just go visit it. It's a little bit out of the way. You might spend an hour traveling there, but once you're there, you'll have a blast. I promise you. After that, the driver took us home. I stuffed some more money in his pocket just to show my appreciation for taking us around on these hour-long trips. Again, it took us 2.5 hours to get to Harum, and then almost 1.5 hours to get to Kingsway, and then another hour to get home. So this guy more than deserved it. And he was very professional and very pleasant to talk to all the way through. So, guys, if you're going to Bali and you need a driver, let me know. I'm not going to give his number away publicly because, again, some of the tourists are just going to mess it up. So I'm going to screen you. If you're a high roller or a well spender or a well-behaved traveler, I will give you that number. And otherwise, you're going to have to do your own negotiation when you arrive to Bali yourself. So that was day 4. The next day, we kind of relaxed at the hotel pool, did some laps there. I didn't drink because it was too early, right? But we did have some nice Indonesian food at the restaurant there. My buddy Max came to visit us again. We had a good time. Then we checked out of the resort. We went to the airport. I had some donuts there because I was still lean. I was probably leaner than when I came to Bali. I don't know what happened. I tried to eat and have a good time, but maybe the copious amounts of alcohol kept me lean, or simply walking around quite a bit at all of the sites, or overshooting a little bit on the diet because I was really, really depleted when I went to Bali. I mean, I got down to 92 kilos. And even though I gained a little bit of weight back, I think I came back at 96 kilos. So I gained 4 kilos, but maybe the filling out of eating all this nice food on holiday actually made me look better and leaner, right? I had lines in my glutes, no joke. So I had a couple donuts at the airport. And then when I came home in Thailand, I had some takeaway. And then on Saturday, I woke up reasonably looking good. For now, I would say Bali gets a 12 out of 10 for me. It's a really great place. Besides the traffic, which is horrendous. And I wanted to rent a motorbike, but I didn't think it was a good idea. Maybe next time I go to Bali, because I do want to go back to Bali. Maybe again this year, let's say August, September time. So I wanted to rate a 13 out of 10, but because the traffic is so bad, we'll have to deduct 1 point. So 12 out of 10 is still a great holiday destination. I would favor Bali more than Thailand as a holiday destination. But if you can combine both, coming from the Western world, maybe a week, 10 days in Bali, and then 2 weeks in Thailand, because Thailand is significantly bigger and there's a lot more to see. And some guys would kind of, end up here as driftwood and then try to piece a business together just to stay in Thailand, because I do feel that Thailand is more livable, more stable than Bali. But Bali is a great holiday destination. Give it a look, guys. You won't be disappointed. I'll leave it here, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this vlog was very interesting and entertaining. Let me know down below how you find it and how you find this filming setup. Me doing the narration while showing all of my holiday footage and pictures. I hope it was fun and entertaining. For now, we're out of time. I'm sure this video is way too long. Thank you guys so much for watching. You can find everything that I'm associated with down below in the YouTube description section. All of my sponsors and affiliates. And otherwise, you can find them on my website at vigoroussteve.com. I got a ton of articles there. You can read them for free. Bookmark that site. I got ebooks for sale. If you want to find the rates for consultations or other services, you can find them on my website as well. Follow me on Instagram and TikTok at VigorSteve. A front double bicep for the Vigorous crew. Proof that I did not get fat on holiday, which is probably a first for me. But hey, there's a first for everything. Maybe next time I need to eat a little bit harder. But yeah, I think I've mastered the holiday gains finally after being alive for almost 40 years. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.